Hello, how's everybody doing?
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy holidays. We are here with head coach Troy Taylor to talk about today's National Signing Day card print class. We will start right away with questions, so please use the raise hand function on Zoom, and we will call on you in the order your hand is raised.
All right, any questions?
John, you're up first.
Okay. You're on mute, but my volume on. Think you're
Sorry.
muted. There you go, no
Three-
problem.
3 weeks. Just compare this year, coach, to last year when you sort of was a fire hose for you. I'm sure last year you had like a 10 days or week or whatever it was.
Totally different, experience. And they coming in last year and trying to put together staff and trying to, we really stuck with the guys that the previous staff had recruited. And this year, we had a jump on the whole deal. So a whole year to recruit, get to know these kids, make sure they're what we're looking for. And our staff has done an unbelievable job signing 23 young men that we're thrilled about. This is a really good recruiting class. We signed a player from every position except for punter and kicker. And so we feel like accomplished all of our goals, and now we just continue to kind of move forward in recruiting. As you guys know, it never really ends. You just keep going into the next cycle. But we're really excited about these guys.
Thank you, John. Dave?
Yeah, hi, Coach. I know this is such a balanced class as far as positions, like you mentioned. Do you go into it looking to fill a need, or are you basically just looking to get the best players that can qualify no matter the position?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think sometimes you go in with a need. We had needs at pretty much every position. So we were really going into it to sign the best players we could in the country. And these guys all know that they're coming into our situation. They're coming in to play immediately, to compete and make an impact, on the program. And so, we have I think what makes this an unusual class is we have 6 mid-year freshmen coming in, which I believe is the most in Stanford history. So really good players. You got quarterback and Elijah Brown, Emmett Mosley, a wide receiver, Benedict Umeh, defensive line, Sam Mattingly, a linebacker, Dylan Stevens, an edge guy, and then Cam Richardson, a corner. So great to have those guys starting here in a couple of weeks, and then the rest of them will come in the summer. But just, university working with us and being able to get these guys in school mid-year is a really big deal.
Thank you, Gary.
Coach, Benedict Umeh has been getting some well-deserved press lately. Actually, I'm friends with the Umeh family. They're an amazing group of people, and I just wonder what your thought process was when you heard about his illness, and just give us your kind of perspective on his development and what he's had to go through.
Well, Benedict was a kid that, had always dreamt of going to Stanford. He's an exceptional student, a computer science kid. He's a Canadian, and they went to prep school in the U.S. As you know, just a remarkable young man. I mean, everything that you think about when you think about Stanford, Benedict is that guy. So right from the beginning, I just knew he was a Stanford guy. We recruited him really hard. There's lots of shiny objects out there that can get in the way of a childhood dream. And Benedict is one of those unique kids that was able to keep his focus on what he really wanted and why he always wanted to go to Stanford. And so when he told me that he had cancer, it was a shock. And we'd had no idea. And he asked me if he still could come to Stanford. And I said, of course, that he was a card for life, and that we were going to be there with him the whole way, no matter if he played football again, that he was going to be a card. And then he committed right there. And it was a pretty emotional moment for his family and for me. And the kid I just can't tell you how special this kid is. He's really a special kid. He's going to help change this program. So can't wait to get him here.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gary. Jackson?
Coach, wanted to get your thoughts on your quarterback, Elijah Brown, and maybe some of your firsthand experience recruiting him in this process at that particular position.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Jake Browning, who I coached in high school. Similar in that won a lot of games, really accurate, the temperament, anticipation, all of those things. 42-2 as a starter. Just to start 4 years at modern day high school is quite an achievement, because you guys know how unique that school is. Probably the best high school football program, at least in the top 5 in the country, just about every year. So to start there for 4 years and to lose only 2 games through a lot of different offensive coordinators, 2 different head coaches, pretty amazing. And the kid is what makes him really special is just his disposition never changes. He's always the same guy. He's just very level. There's not a lot of peaks and valleys. He just stays right in there, and that's how he plays. You don't go 42-2 unless you've got that kind of mental toughness to be consistent. So another exceptional kid, exceptional family. He's really special. So we can't wait to get him. He's being a mid-year guy. It's going to be great to get him in and learning the system right away.
John?
Coach, just trafficking on that shiny object phrase, that was a good one. Would you say the Stanford approach, or what Stanford's offer, is even more differentiated now than what has been before? I mean, it's always offered the 40-year decision and the great education, but now with this constellation of shiny objects, do you feel that? Do you sense that?
Absolutely. I feel like we are the only outlier in college football, and I love that. I'm proud of that. Our guys got to make a decision beyond other things that are out there to decide to come to Stanford. It's got to be really important for them to come to a place like this and be life-changing. And we have a collective and all those things, and those are great. I think that's the world we live in. But what really makes Stanford unique is that it's going to impact you for the rest of your life. So, if you play a 10-year NFL career, which is pretty extraordinary, that means you're going to leave Stanford at about 30 and play 10 years. That's going to put you at 35. Looks like when you get to my age, you start paying attention to when people start dying, and I'm noticing it's like at 85. So 35 minus 85, that's 50 years that you're going to be a non-football player if you have a 10-year career. So we have 2 plan A's here at Stanford. It's not a plan A and a plan B. It's playing pro football, and then afterwards have an extraordinary career in something else where you're going to make a dent in the universe and do something really special. So for the guys that we recruit, they're drawn to this place. It's an unbelievable location and destination for them to really change their life. And when we find the right guy, we know we got a good shot. We feel like we can beat anybody in recruiting, but we got to find the right guys. And you got to go to distance lands to find them for sure. Benedict Umeh was, in Connecticut, and some of them are in California, and some of them are in Florida and Tennessee and all over the place. You got to work really hard at it, which our staff has. It's been the culmination of an extraordinary, hardworking year of building relationships and explaining what our vision is and what our culture is. And obviously, Stanford is of explaining more about what Stanford is. But you really do. Our staff feels like we got a shot if we get the right guy, we can beat anybody in recruiting. And I think we proved with this class that, there's 23, 25, whatever you end up signing. We signed 23, hopefully sign a couple more, that are great players that are drawn to this place. And I think we can do that every year. And if we do that for 3 or 4 years, we're going to be back competing at the top of college football against everybody.
Thank you. Jackson?
Coach, I believe you shared before the season you were under 85 scholarships, and I don't think many of those guys are out of eligibility. You got a big freshman class now. Is it balanced? Is there more movement, or how are you managing all that?
Yeah, we'll see. There's always, this is, in this day and age, that movement is kind of the constant for sure. We're pretty close to that 85. We were well below it during the season. So the goal was to sign a big class, which we have. We're still working, the transfer portal for us. It's going to be limited. We're going to compete hard and try and find the right guys. Graduate school transfers are never going to be something that's we rely on heavily, but we can get some undergraduate transfers. So we're looking at a few guys. It's much less than other schools, but frankly, it helps us in recruiting. When we talk to the high school athletes, we draw a comparison to these schools that will bring in 40 or 50, new players. We're not going to do that. So they're going to be able to compete with people in their class. They don't have to look over their shoulder and see a bunch of different players coming in each year that they never anticipated. So we're really able to focus on high school athletes, and they know that we're never going to bring in a ton of transfer portal guys.
Dave?
Yeah, Coach, just what are you continually learning about the recruiting process at Stanford?
Yeah, I'd say, the main thing is I'm big on finding patterns and, trying to find patterns in what seems like kind of chaos and inconsistency and trying to build those. But the thing is, you certainly Benedict Umeh is a guy that, he's a Stanford man right from the beginning. But there are still kids out there that are drawn to this place that you wouldn't necessarily connect with Stanford immediately, but you find out what they're really about and how resilient they are and how they've made themselves into an unbelievable student. And you're like, okay, he connects with what Stanford is. So I think you got to be open to the fact that they can come from anywhere. They can come from any socioeconomic background. And here at Stanford, we want to bring in people that, may have not, any of the relatives may have not went to college. And now they can really change the course. We talk about Stanford being a generational changing place. It'll change your generations to come. It'll change your life. It'll change your, if you're lucky enough to have children, their lives, and grandchildren, if you're lucky to have those. That's the type of place Stanford is. And so you can recognize the Stanford man, but also there are people that are drawn to it from all walks of life. And we want variety for sure. And so learning all those things, but I think the other thing I've learned is just that Stanford, the appeal and the brand is as powerful as it's ever been. There are shiny objects out there that will deter some people from coming here. But at the end of the day, if they don't value the Stanford degree and what this place is going to give you, it's probably not a great fit. We will still compete and fight those battles, but we feel like those student athletes are really drawn and understand how special this place is. We got a good shot at those guys.
Ben?
Yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on the running backs you signed, Chris Davis, and you're kind of headlining that group, but just kind of thoughts on them, what they think they're going to give you, and if you kind of have a vision on how they fit into a more balanced offense like you had at Sac State. Yeah.
Yeah, we need guys that are explosive and physical, that will run through tackles and get the extra yard, and then a big play explosiveness. That's something that's really going to be important to us, and these guys can all do it. Micah Ford was a quarterback where they just kind of ran the power spread, and he would carry the ball just about every time. 2-state champion, a great basketball player. You walk into the school and with Micah, and first off, the head coach tells you what an incredible person and player he was, how pivotal he was to changing the program. Then the principal comes in, tells you the same things. And then I even had the chemistry teacher walk in and said he's the brightest chemistry student she's had in 18 years. And so those are the kind of guys that we're bringing in here. Just like I said, they're inspirational. He had 2-time state champion, 115 touchdowns in his career. It's unbelievable. And he missed a few games for injury. So he's an extraordinary player. Chris Davis is a really physical, fast player, loves football, out of Mississippi, just a really special guy that we think is going to make an immediate impact. And then Cole Tabb is a kid out of Florida that is also exceptional, explosive, physical at the point of attack, runs through tackles. So we have 3 really good backs that we think can play immediately. Excuse me.
John?
Well, Coach, speaking of patterns, tell us about Chase Farrell. We had the Owusus about a decade ago from Oaks Christian. Now we have another Farrell. Tell us about Chase.
Chase will be the fastest guy on our team. He's run a 10-3 100-meter, which is elite speed. And besides that, he's a really tough football competitor. He brings something different to our team. We need speed. We need, we lacked the big play last year. And so he's going to help us out with that. And his tough combination of toughness and competitiveness, and playing alongside his brother, who we love, Chase is going to be a huge addition. And then obviously Emmett Mosley is a highly recruited kid that his parents went to Notre Dame, and very special people, great football family. And he was, Tyler Osborne did a great job recruiting him and building a relationship. And Emmett is extraordinary. He did not play his senior year. He tore his ACL in the off season, and we hung with him. We knew, this day and age, the surgeries, the surgeons are so good, and the rehab is done so well that we felt great that he would have a full recovery, and he's ready to go. He was going to play probably at the end of their season. So those two guys are really special, a little bit different, each of them, but we like that. And so we're proud of those wide receivers and our running backs.
Dave?
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned about the early enrollees and how that's increasing. It's interesting too with a guy like Elijah, say, for example, who will have like 3 or full quarters before you even get to fall quarter next year of work progress if he's going to winter, spring, and then summer. And then not to mention the football aspect of it. How much of an advantage is that for, say, Elijah and your program to have that kind of progress, both academically and athletically?
Yeah, it's huge. I think one in recruiting, and I really applaud our admissions and our university for allowing it to happen. These guys are all great students, but some of these guys, if you can't get them in mid-year, you're not going to have a chance at recruiting them. They're just going to go someplace else. So our university recognized that in adjusting, and these guys know what they got to do to get in early, and they're willing to do it, taking AP classes, really loading up their schedule, and they're able to make it happen. On the preparation part, I think, if you don't mind missing the last half of your senior year, you come in, you get to know everybody. They have 5 other, guys that will be there with them, lifelong friendships. And then our team is so great. Our character is so great on this team. There's no cliques with older guys, younger guys, or by position. They really involve them immediately. And then getting their feet underneath them academically, I think, is a huge benefit, getting some extra units, and then learning the system, for Elijah, learning the offense and getting a head start and be able to play spring football and adjust to the speed of the game. Even though he's playing on an incredible league, probably the best league in high school football in the nation, things will be moving a little bit fast, but he will adjust quickly, and spring football will play a huge role in that, and he'll be able to compete right from the beginning.
Ben?
Yeah, just kind of a little more on Elijah Brown. Just kind of how does he kind of compare to other kind of top quarterbacks you've worked with, and just kind of how do you kind of manage expectations with a guy like that coming in, and just just kind of, and also just what do you feel kind of his main kind of strengths are that might set him apart from other quarterbacks that you've seen or worked with?
Yeah, I think, as far as the expectations, the great thing about Elijah is he's lived with that for 4 years on about the biggest high school football stage that you can have. And his demeanor really helps that. His mom and dad are super solid. They're always talking about him just enjoying his career and getting better and all those things that give kids perspective. Elijah is his demeanor, once you guys get to know him, he's always the same, whether he's throwing touchdown passes or trying to come back in a game. His demeanor is really incredible. Who he reminds me of is Jake Browning, who I coached at Folsom High Schools now with the Bengals, and accuracy, anticipation, same demeanor, both really killers in terms of their competitiveness. They really want to rip your heart out and beat you. But their demeanor never changes. And so highly competitive. The preparation process is off the chart. They put in all the detail all the time. And they're distributors. Elijah is a distributor of the ball. He's going to get it out. Super accurate, makes great decisions.
John?
Coach, just we see college football changing, the TV's tentacles. I mean, the sort of the phrase about it becoming more like the pro model, for better or worse. Teams, some universities have personnel folks, and I guess where I'm going, this is tangentially related to the recruiting class, but you have some folks that are exiting, some graduate transfers, for example, transferring to other places. Lots of schools have this, so there's lots of coming and going across the country. Can you share how that works at Stanford? Are there conversations?
Yeah.
Just strikes me that every case is really unique, and how you have a very short window in which to do that.
Yeah, no, that's right. And their reasons are all a little bit different. Some of them, it's playing time. They've graduated and they feel like they're going to have a better opportunity to play. And then some feel like they just want to change. And then some of them feel like it's going to give them a better opportunity in one other aspect. I would say that, the majority of them have thought through it and we're behind them in whatever they want to decide. It's just the nature of college football. It's not an anomaly anymore. When I was playing back in the Stone Ages, no one transferred, and now you look at the transfer portal, it's incredible. I mean, just look at the amount of quarterbacks that are in the transfer portal. It's mind-boggling. So, it's just the way it is. Like you said, though, John, everybody has their own reasons and they've thought through it, and hopefully it's the right decision for them. And you just kind of adjust and keep moving.
Back to John.
Coach, just as a big fan of your kicking game, particularly your outgoing place kicker, Joshua Carty, no punters or kickers in this class because there's some coming down the pike, or just
we're with Josh Carty deciding to go to the NFL, and I believe he'll have a 18. I'll probably be in an old folks home when he's still kicking in the NFL. Nobody will believe me that I coached him, but he's gonna kick forever. I think it was the right decision for him. Emmett will compete for the job. We'll probably bring in another kicker to compete. Let those guys go at it. Emmett's a very, very talented young man. And then we have two punters that will compete for the job. So we feel good about where we're at. And we will continue to, the model's kind of been to bring in guys that walk on and then compete. And then if they win the job, then they're typically put on scholarship, is the way it's worked at Stanford for a very long time.
Jackson?
Coach, O-line was a position this year where some young guys got on the field. Could you share a bit about this class and if maybe there might be someone in that group that's ready to roll?
Yeah, just looking at them, really a talented group. Hayden Gunter is incredibly athletic. I mean, you watch him play basketball, he looks how he moves and jumps and is really incredible. A very physical kid out of Texas. He's a tackle that we think is going to be exceptional. Khalil House comes from SEC country out there in Georgia. Really physical, talented, big guy. Love his demeanor and how he plays the game. Zyron Brown, another kid from the South in Mississippi that was really drawn to Stanford. Another great football player, really athletic. It's just a great group. All those guys, we can't wait for them to get there. Obviously, the O-line's one of those groups where, they have to develop, they have to get bigger, and they have to get stronger. But we feel like, they all got a chance to come in and make an impact immediately.
Jackson?
And you mentioned maybe some limited options in the portal or pursuit. Is there a particular position group, or is that a best available type of thing, or what are you looking for there?
Yeah, I think there's certainly positions that we're interested in looking at. Don't know if I want to go into that right now, but there are certain positions that we're not going to bring in like for instance a transfer portal quarterback. So there are certain positions we definitely would not bring in. But that being said, we're always looking for great players that can come in, that can help us, that fit our standard and the profile of coming in and competing at Stanford and helping us, become a better football team and win championships. So we are certainly open, but there are some positions that we're more interested than others.
John?
Coach, sort of a broader question. You've obviously helped build great teams on both sides of the ball, all your prior stops. Offense obviously is your background, and the names that Jake Browning, Scatterboo, et cetera, sort of speak for that. On the defensive recruiting side, is that more of a committee approach because that's not your side, or is it the same on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, the defense, a great question. So it's all hands on deck in recruiting because when a kid's making a decision, they're choosing you as a family because they're going to be around everybody. So, all the coaches are involved in recruiting and involved in the relationship, getting to know each other. But that being said, you're right. The defensive coaches, they take the lead on that. Obviously, I have an opinion on that, but I really trust those guys. They know what they're looking for in their system. And how guys fit in. And, if I feel strongly in another area, of course I can input, but I'm really about empowering those guys and letting them go after what they need. And then we're all hands on deck in terms of recruiting. But I love the defensive class. We got some really good defensive linemen, a great edge player, some linebackers, long athletic corners, a couple of safeties, really all positions. Have been addressed. And these guys, when we were looking for guys that obviously had to fit the academic requirements, but we were also looking for guys that really loved football, were really competitive. And those were really the three things that we're looking for. And so we're going to have a bunch of competitive guys that love to play football. And so defensively, I think it's a very strong group. They're physical, they're athletic, and they love to compete.
Dave?
Yeah, Coach, I don't know if this makes a difference geography-wise, but will there be maybe an emphasis on NorCal recruits down the line?
I would say not any more than it has been. I mean, there's so few guys that kind of meet what we're looking for. That we're always looking at California is always going to be our number one state that I would say would sign guys from. But there's so few guys that can, meet that criteria of being a Stanford player, both on the field and in the classroom, that we have to go all the way across the country. So absolutely, we want to make sure we're finding all the kids in Northern California and all of California, but every state, we'll hit every state. We just have to, because that's in order to find the guys that we like and that fit what we're looking for. We got to go all over the country. So all the areas are priority. I mean, if you look at the guys we've signed, they're all over the map. I think it's probably pretty similar to what Stanford's done in the past. And we will continue to make the entire country an emphasis for us.
Ben?
Yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on Emmett Mosley, just kind of what you've seen from him and what you think he's going to bring to your wide receiver room.
Really smooth. Emmett didn't play his senior year because of an injury, but he is fully recovered. Really smooth, great ball skills, tough. His mom was at one point probably the best soccer player in the country. And Christian McCaffrey's mom was a great soccer player. So you guys might see some trends there. Soccer player moms are a good thing. So really excited about Emmett. Very athletic family. There's lots of good athletes in that family. So Emmett was a huge commitment that we got. He really stuck with us. He had to take a lot of AP classes. He's really a sharp kid, but he had to do a lot of work to make it happen. He was a kid that wanted really to start mid-year, and there was a specific path that he had to make it happen. And that was I don't know if we get him if he's not mid-year. And so again, our university and our admissions allowing a path. It was a difficult path, but one that he obviously could get done. And he did a great job, and he's going to be a really special player.
Any other questions for Coach Taylor? Jackson?
Coach talked about recruiting all over the map. I'm assuming in-home visits was an interesting and busy time. Is there any anecdote or something that stands out about all you guys going across the country?
Yeah, I'm telling you, there are a lot of good cooks. And so, I gained a few pounds over the break, but they were good pounds in terms of spending time with our families, and but exceptional cooks, lots of good food, especially in the South where you just keep eating. But great people. Really excited about this. This is a great day for us, and bringing in great families and great people into our program, and we're really excited about them.